India's startup ecosystem, BYJU'S, is once again faced with serious allegations. Lenders to the edtech giant BYJU'S allege that the company hid $533 million in an obscure 3-year-old hedge fund, as per various media reports. Now, lenders are seeking to recover the substantial sum that BYJU'S apparently transferred to Camshaft Capital Fund, an investment firm that was founded by a 23-year-old and was once listed as a pancake restaurant. The financial routing has sparked a legal battle with accusations of default and predatory tactics. The allegations are the latest in a slew of increasingly public battle between BYJU'S and the lenders, who claim that $533 million is in fact collateral to the $1.2 billion loan that BYJU'S has taken from lenders, supposed to pay it back, hasn't paid it back. The ongoing battle is becoming murkier and murkier. My colleague Krishnakumar joining us with more details. I'm also given to understand Srinath Sridharan will be with us very, very shortly. But Krishna Srinath is here. Let me come to you first, Krishna. It looks like, worst is not yet over for BYJU'S.
Right.
Day after day, there's one allegation on top of another, and it appears like a lot of dirty laundry that's come out in public for BYJU'S.
Right. As we speak, BYJU'S has come out of the rebuttal to all these reports. But let's first go back to what's been the reports in the first place. It was a Bloomberg report, Shweta, that essentially said that $533 million was parked in Camshaft Capital Fund, as you said. And Camshaft, incidentally, was run by a guy called William C. Morton, who is 23 years old and has not enough training or not enough experience in the arena of being a hedge fund manager. So there is a question mark over why and how this money was transferred. And William C. Morton, incidentally, was recently found to have been buying up a bunch of luxury cars, from a Rolls Royce to a Lamborghini to a Ferrari, you name it, 3 luxury cars in his name. And meanwhile, his own company, Camshaft Capital Fund, in a securities filing in the US in 2020, it was discovered that the address given as the main address of Camshaft Capital Fund was actually a pancake shop called IHOP. So the Camshaft Capital Fund, it's as an entity, has some really interesting information coming out of it. And BYJU'S, the first allegation was that it transferred money from Alpha Inc., which is also one of its subsidiaries, to this hedge fund called Camshaft Capital Fund. Now, BYJU'S in its rebuttal has now said that the money, $533 million, is not parked anywhere. It's put in long-term fixed return securities, and that the beneficiary of the money and all the interest that accrues on that money still remains to be BYJU'S. And in that sense, they haven't really siphoned off the money anywhere. They still have They said they've invested smartly in the right long-term financial instruments.
All right, Srinath Sridharan joining us on the show. Srinath, in your understanding, does the current investment, as BYJU'S would like to call it, not siphoning off, perhaps investment in a hedge fund, does that make the cut for the right sort of investment? What makes the lenders say that BYJU'S is hiding money?
So I think, Shweta, there is no right or wrong here. They've moved the funds aside and kept it. It would have been part of a treasury operation. But what strikes me as very, very strange, BYJU'S has not been in the news only in the last few weeks. It has been there in this news for the last many, many months. So what were its investors and board actually doing? You don't move $500 million assuming that money came in with a transaction and the money moving out. What was the board asking questions? And what about those treasury investments? The fit and proper criteria of where they were parking the money aside, it kind of tells me, if such were the news, it actually means that the founders have the ability to move enormous amount of money without any control at all. So that's a question to all their marquee investors who have pumped in billions of dollars. That's the first question. 2, I think it also reflects very poorly on all the practices that so-called big Ps who have invested money have, saying in a good time, you don't ask questions. In a bad time, every single penny seems to be asked. But also, we must be very mindful that a couple of hours ago, I think BYJU'S has got relief from this case. The Florida court has actually said, and BYJU'S is also suing the lenders in the New York court. They're given relief that they have the right to keep the money. It was on the restricted list and so on and so forth. So two parts to your question. One, did BYJU'S have the right to keep it anywhere? The answer is yes. But that's what kind of amazes me, that what was the board doing.
Right.
Okay. Interesting.
If I have to have one thing to ask Srinath, it would be that the credentials of Camshaft Capital Fund is what is making us question this entire thing. Because if they did transfer money to Camshaft Capital Fund to run by 23-year-old William C. Morton, who's bought a Ferrari, Lamborghini, and a Porsche, and then an originally listed address for the business was actually a pancake shop, and then they want to list it somewhere else. I think they want to go to the Cayman Islands now. All of this is what is making us question where exactly is the money being parked.
Oh, absolutely. In a Gen Z's language, I think it should be called a sham shaft rather than anything else. It's been a completely... see, again, that's a part of the process for any treasury operations, right? Typically, people would say when you're struggling for money and whatever you get, you will get it in AAA rated entities, where your monies are safe, where it is liquid, so that you can call for it when it is needed. So it looks like a very deliberate amount and effort to keep it away, and without any control of the board and the investors at all. I'm very, very intrigued with the Indian startup investors now. I mean, all those so-called control and influence and MIS decks that they ask for from the founders. I mean, this is a proof of the pudding. I mean, they have absolutely no control. So I want to actually throw this back at both of you at one question. We have seen this play out for many, many months now. The lenders are struggling to get their monies back. The equity investors, the existing investors, the big names actually dropped out of the boards, saying that their SHA kind of told them to get out. And we know the reasons probably why it was partially true and partially no. They've been struggling to raise newer money, but the question is, why will anybody put fresh equity capital to clear the old mess? That's one question. And very simple, if you logically look at this, I think there seems to be only two solutions at some point in time. One, will the existing lenders accept a very, very discounted haircut for their monies and get the money back? Two, will the existing investors very pragmatically say that, you know what, all this euphoria of $10-20 billion valuation today probably was overhyped by 10x, 20x, and we will look at a very, very realistic number. But then it also means, can they affect a management change? That's right. One option. Second option is, can somebody actually take them to insolvency court?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Those are some interesting propositions. I mean, honestly, as a journalist who would love to be impartial on this, I have no say, Srinath. But the options that you put on table, I think it's going to be a hard bargain for lenders all in all.
Absolutely. See, I think in an unlisted startup that you've invested billions of dollars, I think for the investors, the equity holders, at some point in time, they will have to, if they don't believe in the story, write it off and go back to their original investors and say, we wrote it off. I think the lenders would fight till the last. Typically, the lenders always have access to courts and they do that. So it won't be an easy win. I mean, and the larger challenge is amount of money that they would spend in legal fees in fighting this case in the US. It won't take, they need lots of guts for it. The other one is, since it's a company based out of India, will somebody actually move the insolvency court and get it going, get it shit slashed? I think the challenge is going to be, this company is seen as, the poster kid for edtech, and it has also put edtech industry in a large quandary now.
Right.
So I don't think there is any way out, because the operational creditors in India could take them to court and say that enough is enough, we have waited for 1 year. But I'm surprised or intrigued that nobody's been speaking about it all this while.
All right, perhaps they will start speaking about it now. There are a lot of questions being raised by the way of whether BYJU'S was in the wrong in putting money in a hedge fund that perhaps is run by a 23-year-old. I have no objections to the person's age. I have absolutely no qualms about how many cars he or she has. I think it's more or less about whether that was the right sort of investment that BYJU'S made or not. We'll keep bringing those questions. Srinath, thanks very much. I think this requires a bigger conversation. Perhaps we'll get you back and have a longer conversation on this one.